Alright, what is up everybody? I just finished up Gachiakuta. This is the latest anime picked up by Studio Bones, and they have absolutely killed it. This first 24 episode 2-core arc of Gachiakuta was fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about it. Okay, so short synopsis. Gachiakuta is basically about a boy named Naruto who is from a orb in the sky, basically called the Sphere, and it's basically delegated as like a place where there's people called Spherites, and then down on the ground level you have, and then I don't remember what they actually call the ground level. It may just be called the ground, something like that, but not super important. Basically, Naruto ends up down on the ground and meets up with a group called the Cleaners, whose job is to basically clean up trash beasts, which are a conglomeration of trash caused by the people from the Sphere throwing their trash off down to the ground. Of course, the plot's a little bit deeper than that, and things kind of evolve as the story goes along, and you'll see what I mean as you watch the series. For anyone who is a big fan of like action anime or shonen in general, I consider this a must-watch. I think it was a fantastic first season. I don't think I felt it lacking like in any ways at all. I thought the music was spot on throughout the series. The animation and art was fantastic. I absolutely loved all the characters. They somehow managed to create a cast of villain characters which were even likable, and over the course of 25 episodes, they did a really good job of keeping things interesting at all times. This first season runs the course of a couple different arcs and introduces like a variety of different characters, from, like I said, the Cleaners to different groups of villains called the Bandits, and then into the later end of the series, of the season, you start to get to meet some new factions that you know nothing about or haven't learned anything about really in this first season, and kind of sets things up nicely for future seasons. Not to mention, the last episode, they hit me with an absolute bombshell. I'm kind of worried. I'm still a little bit taken aback by what happened in the last episode. I kind of expected it to be a wrap-up episode, but they did a really good job of building towards a cliffhanger to get you very excited for whatever is going to come next in the series. And for me personally, as they introduced new characters to the series, I don't think they missed a single time with their characters. I thought every single character coming in had something fun or interesting about themselves that kept me kind of interested. Not that every single character was likable, because there are villains and stuff like that involved, but like I said, even the villains have a backstory or a nature or something about themselves that's got you kind of wondering about them and excited to see what comes next from those particular characters. And then naturally, I guess something I haven't really talked about a lot in these reviews to this point has been openings and endings, but Gachiakuta did not miss on any of their openings or endings. They were all fantastic songs, and I think part of the reason I'm not touching so much on that is I want to do videos kind of giving my ratings on those at another time, so maybe end of season type stuff. I mentioned the music in the show outside of that briefly, but they had several insert songs which were pretty kick-ass and just fit the overall theme of the fight or situation involving in the show. And action and stuff aside, you have a little bit of everything. There's some deep and very dark backstories for certain characters, including our main character, who has just a pretty honestly fucked up situation in his own right. Another thing I don't talk a ton about is pacing, because I personally don't have much of an issue with pacing, but I thought the pacing for this particular series, Gachiakuta, was done really well. I felt like we didn't get hung up on any arcs for too long. I didn't feel like the time between arcs was dragging out at all. Like I said, I think they hit the nail on the head with pretty much almost every aspect of this series. This was a very, very good introduction to the world of Gachiakuta, and I'm very excited to see where the series goes from here. And maybe I'm in the minority on this, but I hope that this ends up being kind of one of the newer long-running animes, things like Black Clover or One Piece. Maybe not to that same extent, but something that runs multiple seasons. I like having a longer story in with all of my shorter stuff that I just kind of know it to look forward to having more coming back every couple seasons or whatever. And from what season 1 of Gachiakuta showed me, I have really high expectations for the rest of the series going forward. For my rating for Gachiakuta, I am giving it a 91. As I mentioned throughout, I don't think I need to go into too much more detail because I think I've hit on most of the stuff I wanted to talk about. They did not miss on many points. If there are any points they missed on, I really can't think of them off the top. I don't think I ever went into an episode of the series not excited or end up coming out of an episode disappointed in any stretch at all. With everything that I have said out there, I would say this is probably in my top 5 shows for the year. Not just for the last couple seasons, but for the year as a whole. I think this show delivered on so many different levels that it would be hard for me to not have it in my top 5 newcomer series to the year. And even with returning and sequel stuff, I think I could find a place to fit it in that type of situation, although I generally keep those two ideas separate. With all that said and done, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I appreciate y'all watching, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.